I'm at the Gila River, above the G, but it's pronounced Gila. I'll get to another story on that in a minute. Got several stories. You can see how awful that water looks. Signs out here said don't fish. There are people fishing out here anyway. I certainly wouldn't eat anything I caught out of there. This river flows through the valley. I'm right off of El Mirage Road. El Mirage Road in the Gila River. If you look down there, it's the Gila or the Estrella Mountain Range. Phoenix International Raceway is a little bit east of here. Anyway, to make it back to the Gila. I've told this story a number of times on YouTube. I want to post this on Facebook, on TikTok. I haven't posted this on TikTok yet. So my YouTube viewers might not be. I think I probably have a different audience on TikTok than I do on YouTube. But anyway, now this goes back to World War II. This first story I'm going to tell. In the East Valley, around Papago Park, they had was these couple dozen guys. They were German POWs. They were Kriegsmariners. They were sailors. Anyway, they were captured. They were held as POW camp in Papago Park in the East Valley. Now, one of these guys seen a map of the valley. He knew the Gila River had run through the valley. He knew that camp was maybe 20, 30 miles from, where they were housed, maybe 20, 30 miles from the Gila River. So they were settlers, so they had this brilliant idea that they would dig a tunnel under the camp. They actually, if you search, you can find old news articles that show the tunnel. Anyway, these guys marched through the desert. But these were, enemy soldiers. They did send FBI and cops and stuff looking for them. We're looking for them days. Anyway, these guys had either stolen some rafts or built some. I don't know which, depending on which story you listen to. But anyway, they marched through the desert for days and days, and eventually got to the Gila River. And like today, there's water in there. You could lazily float down to the. Well, you could float into Mexico. I'm gonna get to that in another minute too. But anyway, these guys found it wasn't any water in the river, so they had to turn themselves into the police. And there's a fish in there. Just saw a fish hop. I've seen ducks and geese and stuff in there. There's a fish in there because he just popped his head out. This is a river. This is a bridge. But anyway, after the war, a couple of these guys came back. They had little celebrations. They call themselves the Gila River Boatmen. Kind of a cool obscure piece of Arizona history. And next story, well, there used to be on the FM radio some guys that would tell some jokes, but it seems this is kind of extension on the Beverly Hills Hillbillies. This was extending it forward in the 60s. I don't know, somewhere into the late 90s somewhere. But anyway, it seemed old Jethro, or not Jethro, but old Jed had run out of oil money. So they went on welfare. But after a while, the state of California kicked him out. They ran out of welfare money. They kicked him out. So Jed and his kin went to live in Gila Bend. They were the Gila Bend Hillbillies. But anyway, one afternoon, it was, I think, Jethro's birthday. And Jethro, according to this story, Jethro had never been with a woman before. So Jed had hired a woman for Jethro. I guess they're Gila Bend. The women are fairly cheap. But anyway, Jethro would come back early. And Jed would say, well, what happened? I thought she was going to spend the afternoon in her apartment. And Jethro goes, well, she kicked me out. And Jed said, well, tell me about it. And Jethro goes, well, you know how you told me to take the biggest thing I got and shove it where she pees? And Jed goes, yeah. Well, I took my boot and I shoved it in the toilet and she kicked me out of there. Well, I thought it was funny. Let's see what else. There was the Gila Bend. There was a guy. This many years ago. This is back before everybody had. We all have Google Maps and like that. Some type of bird in there. If you recognize that sound, let me know. But anyway, this is years and years ago before we all had Google Maps. But anyway, this guy wanted to get to Gila Bend. He thought it was Gila Bend. I'll give him directions down there. I said, I think you mean Gila Bend. He goes, yeah, I need to get to Gila Bend. I told him, I said, well, I think when you get down there, they're going to correct you. There's a guy across with a fishing pole, and I hope he doesn't plan to eat anything he catches out of here because, again, look at that water, man. That water just looks like I wouldn't want to eat anything out of there. Of course, I talked to one guy, different birds in there. One guy would do a lot of catch and release, just sport fishing, catch and release. Okay, I'm posting this on TikTok. Need to get down to Monument Mountain. I'm gonna go hike Monument Mountain just because I want to. Bye bye.